It's a real life spiritual awakening, and I want to talk about it. Hey guys, this is Andy with Mindset Matters More, and today we're going to get a little woo woo. You know, I love talking about the woo woo, and today we're going to talk about spiritual awakening. I just watched this video about it, and I want to share some insights that I had while I was watching it. And so, the five different levels that they talk about is unconsciousness, ego death, the search, emergence of the authentic self, and life of alignment, which, all very powerful. And I'll give you guys my thoughts on them. This might need to be a two-parter because I got some lots to say, but we'll try to get through as much as we can so that we're not just rambling on and on and on about this. So let's talk about the first level, unconsciousness. Now, if you are already questioning reality, if you are already under the assumption that there's something greater than you, whoa, you're not unconscious all the time. Okay, there are still parts of you that may be unconscious and still driven by the ego. Now, what is the ego? The ego, by definition, is a term of the mind. It is the rational part that goes between the primal desires, your moral compass, and quote unquote reality. Okay, this is like the thoughts that you have, these are the way that you view yourself, these are the things that where you need to seek external validation, or you fear vulnerability. These are parts of you that are your thoughts. You believe you are your thoughts. You are very reactive to life. You are very much playing defense all the time. And sometimes you can play offense, but for the most part, you feel like you're catching up and you're unconscious. You're unconscious of the bigger picture at large. And I really like this because I know the point at which I went from unconscious to conscious. And that was the day that I got sober. I remember I was at a work function, and it wasn't like I had particularly drank a lot, but I knew that I had one too many that I would have ever wanted to have at work. Well, it wasn't at work, it was at a work function, something after work. And I remember walking home, and for the first time in my life, I had thought, huh, what if I can't control this? It was almost as if like a mirror turned around, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, the problem might be me. And that was the moment that I became conscious of something, that it wasn't like, from that point on, it wasn't like, oh, all of a sudden I'm enlightened and not fully conscious and aware that there's something greater than me and powerful and I've changed and Holy Spirit in me. No, I still, even to this day, have moments of unconsciousness where I do let my ego win. So, by no way, shape, or form am I saying that the journey is unconscious to conscious. It's very much, for some people and for most people, it's unconscious, conscious, unconscious, unconscious, conscious, unconscious, unconscious. Like, you can toggle back and forth. Now, how deep you get into it and how fast you can get to consciousness is person dependent, okay? Because there are some people who all of a sudden they become conscious and they stay conscious. They cannot ever go back to being unconscious. And one of the facets of being conscious is like, you realize that everybody around you is unconscious. And you're like, holy shit, what is happening right now? And the other thing is, so I was told two things. One is that once you become conscious, like, when you're operating from an unconscious state, like, you can no longer permanently stay unconscious. You will always flicker on and off to consciousness. But the second thing, and this is what I was just kind of talking about right now, is that you cannot make anyone else be conscious. You cannot force those views on anybody. They will outright and sometimes violently reject it. So that's the unconscious level. Okay. So what happens when you do become conscious? Ego death. Now, we're not talking about a physical death. We're not talking about, but we are talking about stripping away the ideas that you have of yourself that, like, oh, I'm only a mother, I'm only a woman, I'm only a bodybuilder, I'm only a coach, I'm only a podcaster, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. And all those things that you define yourself with, they slowly start to die off. Now, that is what this video said the second step was, but I kind of want to do a 1.5 minus 2, like there's like a step in between. And that is the denial. And one of the things that have happened that I have seen also is that when people become conscious and lucid that there's something bigger out in the world, that they think, "Well, no, I'm crazy. Like, there's no way this is possible. Like, this is not real." They like outright try to reject it. But what did I just say? Once you become conscious, you cannot deny that consciousness exists. You can become unconscious for a little bit, but you will always come back to consciousness at some point and be like, oh my God, like feeling unconscious will become ultimately uncomfortable. And you'll be like, okay, no, no, this is not right. This is not how things are supposed to operate. Like you will always have that in the back of your head. So when you do start to have ego death and you do start to strip away the layers of the identity and the limiting beliefs and the fears and start working on all of that, there might be a bit of denial. Like when I started on this journey, there is no way I would have talked about this with anybody because I was like, I think I'm going crazy. Like the only people that I could really talk to that I had access to were religious people because religious people by and large believe that there's something bigger than them, right? That's why they go to religion. That's because there's something bigger that they need to practice with a community, this belief. But by and large, like I would not have been like, yeah, like just some random stranger, hey, I'm awake. Are you? Like that would not happen. And actually when I meet people now, I do talk about consciousness. I'll always preface it with like, hey, this might sound a little woo-woo, but I will fully say it out loud rather than just keeping these crazy woo-woo thoughts to myself. Like, yeah, I call them crazy and woo-woo, but that's because I want some of you people who aren't fully conscious yet to understand that I hear you, I see you, and I know that sometimes these sort of discussions can be a little bit deeper than what you are used to. And, some people do take it to an extreme, but we don't take it to that extreme here. Okay. So the next part is after you have the ego death, which is the things that keep you locked into the unconscious. Okay. And again, you can toggle between all of these different um phases or whatever, back and forth and back and forth. There is no like, oh, you graduated to the next one and boom, you're there forever. The next one is the search. And this is where people can take it to an extreme is, they start to find, okay, how can I explore this more? Prayer, meditation, journaling, courses, videos, gurus, spiritual advisors, coaches, finding other people, even priests, rabbis, looking for people who have already walked further along in their spiritual journey to be like, hey, what am I experiencing? What is this thing that is happening to me? They try to find the meaning behind what it is going on with themselves. And this, oh, I feel like I'm in this forever. And not because I am not enjoying the journey and I need to find more, but I love to study the different ways in which people travel this road. And I am personally somebody like I've told you guys, I'm a self-help book junkie. I fucking have read hundreds of self-help books, spiritual books, technical books, and trying to see different perspectives and the ways that people have found their journey and made it to where they are and done the things that they have done. And I love that personally. And um for me that like I can kind of get stuck in this rather than practicing it myself, like more knowledge, more knowledge, more knowledge. But for me, knowledge is the ultimate in connection with God. Okay, guys. So we're kind of at the 10-minute mark here. So I'm gonna leave you with this, that we're going to explore in the next um episode, the last two, but I'm also going to finish this third level and talk more about what things I have done on my search for knowledge. But we are going to finish this discussion. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, my email is going to be in the description. I've also put a link to my book. That is Writing for Your Life. It is a book on how to journal, because that's been one of the powerful tools that I have discovered has helped me with my journey to enlightenment. But also my YouTube, and yeah, guys, just I love you guys. Bye.